Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to the channel. This is Red Dissection and we're breaking down Manchester United capitulation to their arch rivals Liverpool at Old Trafford. Liverpool turning up at Old Trafford again and making it a theatre of stream, a theatre of fear, a theatre of repetition. Really put the Red Devils to the sword and completely annihilated them. Added one more chapter, painful chapter to the torment that has been the Eric Ten Hag era. For Manchester United, there is no looking forward, there is no looking back. By sticking with Eric Ten Hag and poisoning the football that we see every day on the pitch at Old Trafford. Detailing the match itself, United started half decently. They kept the ball well for the first 10 minutes, but eventually Liverpool got through the midfield easily. Special shout out to Gravenberch, who completely dominated our midfield, running through our midfield like prime Yaya Toure. Got the first goal, which was correctly judged to be offside. United got a reprieve early on. For any United fan, that must have been a clear sign for things to come. It portended what was to come, and what came was horrific. Completely dominated, completely ragdoll, completely pressed to the max. We kept losing on the ball. Not just Casemiro, of course. The easy scapegoat is Casemiro. His turnovers and misplaced passes led to the first two goals. But it wasn't just Casemiro. He was left out to be slaughtered, and that's what it was. It was a slaughtering, not just of Casemiro, but Kobe Mainoo and Collier, who came on in the second half. The midfield was so porous, and the entire blame goes down to Eric Ten Hag, who sets up with the suicidal form of football, with no midfield, with only one midfielder, an aging midfielder, that having to cover the whole width of the Old Trafford pitch. Obviously, Mohamed Salah got his customary goal against Manchester United. He played well. Luis Diaz had a field day, considering the quality of player he is and how inconsistent he is. He was consistently dominating us, and he was a continuous threat. Jota also causing nuisance like he usually does against Manchester United. But it was the midfield of McAllister, Szoboszlai, and Gravenberch that won the game for Liverpool at a canter. This is one of those matches, one of those scenarios where stats can be misleading, and that's what they show. Shot count is 8 to 11 in favor of Liverpool, but those 8 shots for Manchester United, none of them were threatening. Even the header that Xerxes got on target was an easy save for Alisson. We have slightly more of the ball, but that was down to the fact that we were already 3-0 down. Liverpool have changed the tactics. They're not as gung-ho. They're not going for the kill. They got an unassailable lead. The match was over in the first half, so they didn't have to expend that much. They didn't have to go hell for leather and give us opportunities on the counter-attacks. It was an easy day out, probably the easiest away game that Liverpool going to have throughout this Premier League campaign of theirs. Obviously, the misplaced passes, the turnovers. When you have a midfielder, Bruno Fernandes, Casemiro, wingers like Rashford, Garnacho, who are not technically adept. I think because of his stature, Casemiro will be singled out for criticism. But it was a complete team effort in self-sabotage, and that's what we saw against Liverpool at Old Trafford. Coming to player ratings, Andro Nana, he's just pointless. He cannot save. Even his passing, his use of the ball is not at the level that it was advertised. He sadly has been a poor signing for Manchester United, and I just don't know where we go from there. We have so many changes to make, so many positions to cover, and I think goalkeeper is one of them. Nusser Mazraoui was excellent. I thought he has been the most consistent performer apart from Ahmad this season. Of course, he was not to be found for the first goal, but that was down to the fact that we were already in attacking phase, trying to build from the back, and wide players, fullbacks were, especially MAZRAOui, because the attack was building from the right hand side. So he had to vacate his position. Luis Diaz got the 2 goals, but in one-on-one occasions, MAZRAOui did well and kept him quiet for a large stretch of the match. Matthias De Ligt, I thought he was the man of the match. Easily our best player and defender also. He was strong in the tackle. I think he's just not helped out with the rest of the players playing crap, really. Unfortunate for him to play in such a team of complete losers and tosspots, starting with the captain. And he has to suffer through this. It was a complete debacle of a match to be a part of. I think this will leave a mark, a scar on him as well, even though he wasn't to be blamed for any of it. Martinez, I think his Napoleon complex, his short man, small man complex is there for everybody to be seen. He has been involved in most of the goals we have conceded with his lack of positioning, lack of pace, lack of strength. He's been abysmal since he's come back from his Copa America victory. He's timid on the ball. His passing is nowhere. as good as it was in his first season. Easily beaten for pace and pieces of trickery by midfielders and wingers. I thought his tackle on the half line was terrible. It was an assault, symptomatic of the fact that he realizes he's not good enough right now, and he's been playing awfully. Dalo had a mixed bag. He was decent on occasions, but obviously couldn't do anything against Salah. He advanced and vacated his spot prematurely on the first goal. I thought since Casemiro was on his side, he should have stayed back a bit more and let it play it out. He never gave option for Casemiro as an outlet to give that easy ball out on the wing. Obviously, Casemiro was trying to find him over the top, which led to that mistake, that first goal eventually. However, I thought it was a mixed bag. Coming to the midfield and the tragedy that is Casemiro. I'm sure that he knows that his legs are gone to an extent. I don't think he's as bad as has been exposed for the last 18 months. I think it's down to the system. He's being left stranded in that midfield, being asked to cover the entire width of the pitch on his own. I think that is too much to ask of any player, and I think even if Aguade comes in, he'll drown there as well. But his individual errors are down to him. He's been playing decently for the last couple of matches, but his passing in this match was awful. He was giving the ball away completely. I thought he gave away the ball like 13 times in the first half. That is just not acceptable. Even though he might be chasing shadows in midfield, his use of the ball and his ability to lose it so easily was terrible. Even the second goal, he should have been stronger and not give away the ball in that area. That led to easy shot for Liverpool and the second goal. Overall, I think this was one of the worst performances that we've seen of Casemiro. Kobe Meno, I think, was easily as bad as Casemiro and Bruno, if not more. I think you can see that he's now shying away from the ball. I think his confidence has taken a hit. Maybe it's down to the fact that he has had proper preseason. He's not physically confident enough, but he's been ragdolled and dominated by most of the midfielders that we have seen on show for the last three matches. Be it Baleba, be it GRAVENBERCH, or even McAllister that stole the ball away from him for the third goal. I thought it was one of the worst performances for the young Kobe Meno. Starting with Garnacho, again, nothing we haven't seen before. He's just technically not adept. He's not physically strong. He's certainly not fast enough. And that was quite apparent against Robertson, an aging fullback who was dominating him. His use of the ball is terrible. His care for the ball is also terrible. And you can see that on counter-attacks, he might be an option as an impact sub, but sadly, he's no starter for Manchester United. Bruno Fernandes, his performance was epitomized by that tickle that Van Dijk gave him. He's a complete soiber, a complete puffcon. I think he's petulant, he's irresponsible. He doesn't have the quality to play for this club, let alone being a captain. Even worse than Harry Maguire in terms of captaincy. He loses the plot every time. He's the first one to go off, and he sets such a bad example for the rest of his teammates. Of course, he runs hard and he tries to chase shadows, and like a rabid dog, he tries to bite everybody. He cannot play in an organized possession-based system, and I think he's been one of the reasons why we've seen Casemiro being left stranded in that midfield. He was one of the reasons for the kind of flag that Pogba got, because he's always the one to vacate his place. He's always the one to run after the ball and leave his comrades in trouble, and obviously he's not press resistant. He's physically not dominating anybody in that midfield. So an expected performance from Bruno and a typical performance for his tenure at this club. Marcus Rashford, just get out of the club. Please, if you are watching and somehow if you get this message, for your own sake, for our sanity, just leave the damn club. Just leave Manchester. Just go somewhere, find your mojo, find a new lease of life. Start loving football again. You're not good enough for Manchester. You're never good enough for Manchester United. Of course, you got to spell a purple patch for a couple of season, couple of months a season, but you're not good enough. You know it yourself. You play like a man who knows that he's not good enough. The sooner you save yourself and save us from you, the better it will be. This is another loss for Ineos. The fact that they have given contract extension to the likes of Bruno and kept Rashford over the likes of Sancho, I think that just speaks volumes of the kind of talent ID they have. It's something that we're suffering through. Xerxes, he's got a few nicknames and memes for himself. He didn't score a goal, but I'm sure he scored a few memes for himself. Abject performance, didn't look physically fit, didn't compete with the likes of Van Dijk and Konate. Was completely outclassed. Of course, he got two opportunities, which he should have taken and buried. Obviously, he's not a goal scorer, and we can see that he's not a clinical finisher. Of course, he's playing in a graveyard shift. The position, he doesn't get too many opportunities, but in this match he did, and he wasn't ready. And I think overall his game looks like he's not ready. I think he might need more matches. For sure, he'll get better. I'm sure that he's got the ability to get better, but this match, it wasn't a good advertisement for his skills. So Collier came on in for Casemiro. I think that was a wrong decision. I think Casemiro should have been kept on. Obviously, he made some error, Casemiro, but I thought it was the system that let him down, and other players also not helping him out in the midfield. And that's what we saw. Even Menu suffered, and Collier, even though he tried, he didn't have any. I was often hounded off the ball and made some good runs alongside Marcus Rashford on the left wing, but I cannot mark him anything more. We have to take context into consideration. That was a tough match for him to come into. Ahmad came on in, looked bright. It wasn't a shock that he was dropped after getting that award for Player of the Month for Manchester United, but that is what I've been suspecting Erik ten Hag of. I don't think Erik ten Hag rates any bowlers, let alone a left-footed winger that plays or tries to play over Anthony, his own accusation. I thought Ahmad looked bright. He was trying too much sometimes, but of course you can understand why. He must have been frustrated by the manager's decision to keep him out of the starting lineup. He didn't get any opportunity, a clean shot on the goal. He did have one shot that went way off the mark. He should never be dropped from the starting lineup with the wingers we have right now in the squad. He has to be given a proper opportunity, proper span of 10 to 15 matches to prove his worth. And after that, then we'll judge him according to his goals and assists and what difference he makes in that final third. Harry Maguire came on in for Matthias de Ligt. Another bad substitution. No need for that. Of course, de Ligt got a yellow card. I'm sure he can restrain himself from getting a second yellow or a red card. It wasn't a feisty match. And like sparks were going all over the pitch. We were losing comfortably, and I thought he could have stayed on. Harry Maguire came on in late. You know that he doesn't offer anything to us. Obviously, he can be solid, but we shouldn't be paying that much for a solid player. I thought keeping him in the club is another loss for Ineos on his last year of contract. I certainly hope that he's not getting another extension of the contract, so he should have been sold. We already know that we are making a big loss on his record transfer, but at least we should have tried to get some money out of him. And it was a bad performance from Maguire as well. Christian Eriksen was a tourist on the Old Trafford pitch, didn't do anything, wasn't involved, wasn't asked to do anything. I think nobody expected anything off of him, and that's what he delivered. He has been a bad acquisition. I think we should have never gone for a signing like his, giving so much money and salary to somebody who's long past his best. Obviously, in a team like Brentford, he can still play and do a job. But certainly for Manchester United, the pressure under which we expected to perform, he's certainly not good enough. Manager Erik ten Hag, he's pure evil, that man. He is pure evil. His initial starting lineup, his substitutions, his tactics or lack thereof, strategy to completely demolish Manchester United as a football club, self-sabotage us on field, and to castigate the likes of Casemiro and Kobe Meno and to leave them open to be murdered on the pitch is absolutely abject. He's a criminal and he needs to be put behind bars, put on trial for what he's done to this club. Of course, he's learned a few sentences, some kickbacks, like we won 2 trophies, but nobody cares about those 2 trophies when you're finishing 8th. You're the worst manager we've gotten since David Moyes. That is saying a lot. And I think you're going to break more records. I think you could eventually be one of the worst managers we've had in the history of Manchester United. The dead football on the pitch, you cannot put that in terms of statistics or subjective. You can just see and experience it. And what we have experienced is complete trauma and terrorism under him. This needs to end, and he should be put out of his misery in this international break. We are suffering, and we're going to keep suffering. That's what I expect. I think the manager isn't going anywhere, even though I want him out. Any decent, serious management would completely take that decision and X him straight away. But I don't expect anything of Ineos. That was the biggest decision they had to make. They were openly looking for a replacement, but then ended up keeping him. The fans, the fan base, not everyone, but most of them, with that stupid sentimentality when it comes to Erik ten Hag, the open letter to Ineos. I think Ineos dropped the ball there, took the easy way out. They thought that they'll keep the man in charge and he will sack himself, but that is just so stupid. You're riding out the season, your first one. The way they acquired the club was shoddy. The way they have spent so much on the PR without actually doing much. The fact that they cannot identify talent. The fact that they cannot see Erik ten Hag for who he is and make a bold decision. Show courage in the face of criticism. I think that speaks volumes of the kind of people that are in charge. The fact that they are bedfellows with Glazers is not a surprise. I think it is quite apparent and patent for anybody with enough grey matter, functioning grey matter, to see that Ineos are not it. Ineos have gotten away with it. The scrutiny that is on the manager, it is deserved. I think a greater scrutiny has to be on the people upstairs, people who claim that this was a resurgence, a coming of age, a new awakening. Certainly hasn't transpired. I didn't expect anything from Ineos, and this is what they've delivered. They had exactly delivered the opposite of what they claimed that they would bring to this club. I can give a tirade against Erik ten Hag, but why should I? I've been doing that for the last 10 months, so I'm going to stick it to Ineos, and I'm going to stick it where it hurts. Anyway, we move on. We cannot leave the club. That is the club we've chosen. That is a club that we fell in love with, and we're going to stick by even through the thing. We got the success, ample of it. Under Sir Alex, we got the players like Wayne Rooney for myself, and got the privilege of watching him, and true winners like the rest of the team of that era. I think this is the time where we get back balance, where we have to be patient and absorb and be patient with mediocrity. Having said that, we'll never be quiet, we'll never be silent. We'll keep verbalizing our angst against this manager and the kind of fall we're taking under him. We'll be back with the Red Prep show for the Southampton game after the international break. Please join us for that. Until then, take care, do good, pray for Palestinians and all the oppressed people all across the globe. Assalamu alaikum.